Hello from Freedomtax. We hope everyone is doing okay. They're keeping safe and that they are healthy. Um, Today we're gonna make a video about the 4 steps of getting your PPP loan forgiven. We're making this series of videos to help business owners get financial help during these tough times. Um, Very important, I am recording this video on April 30th. Why do I emphasize the date? It's because guidelines and rules for all these loans have been constantly changing, okay? So even though you see this information that I'm going to give you today, rules can change in the future. So it's very important that you work with a professional that's up to date with the latest guidelines, okay? So let's get to it. Basically, if you do not know us, we are part of Freedom Group. Freedom Group is a group of 4 companies. We have Freedom Tax Accounting, we have Freedom Immigration, Freedom Realty, we also have Freedom Insurance Financial. We are a group of 39 professionals with more than 20 years of experience. In our team, we have CPAs, IRS, EAs, tax advisors, financial advisors, insurance agents, immigration lawyer, and real estate pros. So basically, we can help business owners or individuals in many things. Okay, now let's get to it. If you did get your PPP approved, and if you already got the funds, congratulations. That's a very big victory. A lot of people tried and are still trying to get it today, and they haven't been approved or they haven't received the funds. So if you were one of the lucky ones who did get the funds, then congratulations. But that's only the first step. Now the real work begins. Why? Because the good thing about the PPP loan is that you can get it 100% forgiven and you don't have to pay anything back. Okay. Now, usually free money doesn't come without rules. Okay. So once again, if you did get the funds, that's only the first step. Now it's like phase 2, where you really have to follow the following rules in order, because we really want you to get this loan 100% forgiven. Okay. Now, very important. There's 2 sets of guidelines for PPP forgiveness. Okay. The first set of rules are for businesses that have employees on payroll. Okay. So their employees are our W-2 employee, okay? The other set of rules are rules for businesses that are independent contractors, single members LLCs that file as self-employed. Uh, Basically, that's PPP rules are different for those type of businesses, okay? So in this video, we're only gonna focus on the rules for the businesses that have employees on payroll, okay? If you're an independent contractor, if you are a single member LLC that files taxes as a sole proprietorship, basically anyone who fills out the Schedule C on their personal tax return, there's another, I'm gonna do another video on YouTube that's gonna give you the rules for getting your PPP loan forgiven, okay? Once again, this video is to get the PPP loan forgiven for businesses that have employees on payroll, all right? Let's move forward. So basically, how do you qualify to get PPP forgiveness? Okay, you have, the first set of rules is that you have to spend the money the right way. That you can't just take the funds and spend it on whatever you want. There's specific expenses that you have to use these funds for in order to qualify for forgiveness, okay? Now, the first set of expenses is payroll costs, okay? Now, payroll cost is a series of costs consisting of salary, commission, tips, even the paid time of vacation time, family, medical, sick leave, even employee benefits that your business contributes to health insurance or retirement plans, okay? All this is added up and factored into payroll costs, okay? Now, from the funds you got, you have to use at least 75% of the funds towards payroll costs, okay? That doesn't mean you can use more. It's minimum 75%, okay? Now, there's no guidelines yet on how to use it more than 75%. So we don't think that you just can't take a pay raise, okay? I don't think it's going to work like that, okay? Um, we think that you're going to have to maybe hire more people and pay them a reasonable amount in salary, okay? So the first thing you have to know is that from the funds you got, the most important thing you're going to use those funds for is for your payroll costs, okay? And you have to use it at least 75% or more. If you use it less, then the less forgivable amount the loan gets forgiven, okay? Now, the other set of expenses that you can use the funds for are mortgage interest, but those mortgage interests have to be a contract that has been done before February 15th. Also, business rent, but the lease has to be signed before February 15th, okay? And also payments to business utilities like water, electricity, and telephone, okay? So these types of expenses you can use with your PPP funds, but you can use it up to 25%, okay? So if you got $10,000 in a PPP loan, you can only use 2,500 of that towards mortgage interest, business rent, and business utilities, okay? So these are the second wave or the second type of expenses you can use your PPP funds for. Now remember, payroll costs are the main source of expenses with the funds you received. Remember, for payroll costs, you have to use 75% or more of the funds. And these type of expenses, mortgage interest, business rent, and utilities, you can only use up to 25%, okay? Now, that's where you use the money. But this is where it gets interesting. Not only do you need to follow rules on how to spend the money, you have to show the bank that you maintained or rehired the staff you had. And this is tricky because what the guideline says is that for the 8 weeks after you get funded, you must maintain or increase your average number of FTEs, which is not the same as employees, number of employees. FTE stands for full-time equivalent, okay? And you have to show that you maintained or increased the average number of full-time equivalent employees compared to 2 time periods, okay? Now, this is where we think there's going to be an issue because the guideline says that you have to show that you maintained or increased the average number of FTEs. The problem is that depending on the industry, FTE has different ways of being calculated. For example, the way legal industry calculates FTE is one way. The way insurance industry calculates FTE is different. For workman comp, FTE is different, okay? So we still don't know what formula of FTE is the SBA gonna come out with the guidelines to come up with this number, okay? But we are expecting further guidelines on this, okay? Now, once again, you have to show that you maintained the average number of full-time equivalent employees, okay, compared to 2 time periods. The 2 time periods that you can choose from, it's not both. You have to choose from one of these 2 time periods. It's January 1st of 2020 to February 29th of 2020. Or you can choose February 15th of 2019 to June 30th of 2019. Okay? So for example, let's say that you take the January 1st to February 19th, 2020 time period. You had an average number of 10 FTEs in that time period. But if you go back to the other time period from February 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, you only had 6 average FTEs. If I were you, I would choose the time period that you had less employees. Okay? Why? Even if you get the funds, if you had to close, most business owners are having a hard time getting their employees to come back to work. Some are at stay-home rules. Some are getting paid via unemployment, and sometimes the unemployment check is bigger than what you paid them, so they prefer to stay in unemployment. So you want to make it as easy as possible to meet this criteria to get your loan forgiven. So choose the time period that you have the less amount of FTEs, employees, so you can meet those criteria now. Okay? So once again, in order to qualify for loan forgiveness, you have to use the funds, 75% or more for payroll, up to 25% for other expenses like mortgage interest, rent, utilities, and you must maintain for the 8 weeks after you get the funds, you must maintain or increase the average number of FTE employees for the 8 weeks. Okay. Now let's move forward. Now we really feel that the key to getting your loan forgiven is documentation. Okay, because remember, after the 8-week loan period, you're going to go to your lender, the bank who gave you the funds, and you have to show them what you use those funds for. Okay, so you're going to have to give them proof, and you're also going to have to certify that the information that you are providing is accurate and true. Okay, so documentation is key, and this is where we feel that the help of your CPA will be of great benefit to your business, because the CPA will be able to certify your financials. Okay, and we think it'll help a lot that the bank or the lender gets certified financial statements. All right. Now, we feel this is going to be a 4-step process. Okay, so step number 1, once you get those funds approved, okay, remember, if you got your loan approved but still haven't received the funds, okay, this is a good time for step 1, because you know you're going to get the funds. Okay, because the clock starts ticking when the funds get to your bank, not when it gets approved. And we've seen that once you get the PPP loan approved, there's like a 10-day window where you have those 10 days until you get the funds. Those 10 days are the best time for step 1, which is planning. Okay, make a budget, do a plan on how you're going to use these expenses over the next 8 weeks. Okay, remember, you have to plan to keep track of all your payroll expenses, and the goal is to use at least 75% of the funds or more. And remember, you're going to have to keep track of the non-payroll expenses we talked about. And the goal is going to use up to 25% of those funds for this non-payroll expenses. And remember that you have to plan to maintain the amount of FTE employees. Okay, now a lot of people are telling me I had to lay off people. My business has been closed. How do I rehire now? Okay, well, the good thing is that you have until June 30th to rehire employees or reverse any salary cuts that you have made during these tough times, because you have to maintain the amount of employees, but you also have to show that you maintain their salary level. Okay. Now, once again, the SBA nor the Treasury has issued guidelines on exactly this is going to work. Okay, so requirements may change in the future. So step one is to plan. Okay, remember, to failure to plan is planning to fail. Okay, so plan your expenses and plan how you're going to rehire or reverse salary cuts in the following 8 weeks after you get the funds. Okay, now step two, you have to prepare your payroll reports. All right. Okay. At the end of the 8 week period, you have to show your federal and state payroll tax returns. Okay. And show evidence of whatever employer contributions in healthcare plans or contributions to retirement your business made to the employees. Okay. This can be invoices, wire transfers, any kind of documentation for payroll costs is important, especially the federal and state payroll tax returns. So basically, this is going to be your 941 payroll tax return plus the state payroll tax return. Okay. Now your CPA, your financial advisor, or even if you have a payroll service, they should provide this payroll reports. Okay. Now step three, we already collected the step two, we collected the documentation for payroll cost. Step three is to collect documentation for the non-payroll expenses. Okay. So keep and start collecting proof of payment of rent, mortgage interest, and the utility payments. Okay. Once again, we think it's going to be very beneficial to use your CPA during this time, because the CPA is going to be able to certify these expenses in your financials. But the CPA certified financials have to be backed up with documentation. Okay. Now, step four, and this is the last step, and this is where it may take a little bit of time. And let me explain why. The 8 weeks have gone by, and you plan your expenses. You have been using them according to the guidelines. So now, once the 8 weeks have gone by, you have to request forgiveness. It's going to be another form that you're going to have to send to your lender to get the loan forgiven. Okay. Now, check with your lender, because every lender has specific requirements. Why did I put lender here in capital letters? Because the loan forgiveness process is going to go through the lender. It's not going to be through the SBA, okay, nor the federal government. The forgiveness application is with the lender or the bank, okay? Now, in my personal opinion, I think that lenders at this point, April 30th, 2020, I think they don't even know the complete regulations for forgiveness. This process and these loans have been done so fast, and the way we have seen that every couple of days new guidelines and rules come down and change, I really think that lenders still don't know how they're going to handle the forgiveness applications. Okay. But you can, once you get the funds, you can start communicating with your lender. Okay. Get someone on the phone, get someone in an email, start communicating with your lender, okay? Start building that relationship with your lender, okay? So that when the 8 weeks go by, you already have some kind of relationship with someone in the institution that gave you the funds, okay? Now, once you submit the forgiveness application with the lender, what the guideline today says is that lenders have 60 days to decide whether or not you qualify for forgiveness. Okay? So, once again, you get the funds, you have 8 weeks of using the funds well. After the 8 weeks, you submit the forgiveness application to the lender, and then the lender has 60 days to determine if you are eligible for forgiveness. Okay? Now, worst case scenario, what happens if you don't get the loan forgiven? Either in full, that none of the funds were forgiven, or that you had a partial forgiveness, that only 50% or 80% of the loan got forgiven. Now, the remaining balance is going to roll over uh, to a 1% interest loan, okay? Which is still a very good deal. This is better than a credit card, okay? Now, that loan, once again, is a 1% interest loan. You have 2 years to pay it back, and you have no prepayment penalties, okay? Why is that important? Let's say that you got $50,000 in PPP money, and you only used $40,000, and those $40,000 get forgiven. The remaining 10,000, you can always give it back. Okay? All right? And you also have a 6-month deferment to make your first loan payment. Now, very important, this 6 months deferment, even though you don't have to make your first loan payment, the interest will still accrue during this period. Okay? Now, our final advice is to not go through this process alone. Okay? Um, if you are, I have many clients that are very organized, that I think they can do this on their own. I do think that they're capable of keeping track, keeping documents, following the rules. But right now we are in unprecedented times, and a lot of my clients are scrambling. They're doing things that are out of the box just to keep their business going. Okay? That I really think we really feel that the best way to go through this PPP forgiveness is using a professional to help you. Okay? That's why we advise that once you get the PPP funds, this is the right time to work closely with your CPA, your accountant, your financial advisor, because they're going to be able to help you in these 8 weeks in order to get the loan forgiven. Okay? Remember that certified and accurate reporting will be key to maximizing forgiveness. You're going to have to show certified documents to the lender. And banks and CPAs normally speak this, not normally, but in financial terms, they know what they're looking for. Okay? Now, the other reason we think it's good to have a professional help you is because the guidelines will continue to change. There's a lot of things that are not well explained, and there's a lot of questions on how exactly this forgiveness will work. What the SBA is telling people is guidelines will come down. So these rules and guidelines will continue to change. So it would be better to work with a professional that's keeping on track with the guideline change. Okay, we feel that if it was hard to get the funds, we feel it's going to be even harder to get them forgiven. Okay, so our advice is use your CPA, use your accountant during this time. Even if they charge you a little bit more for their service, it's totally worth it to do your best to get your PPP loan 100% forgiven. Okay. Now, we are also working. We are, once again, an accounting firm here in Florida. We are working remotely. We are not seeing people in person. Everything is being done online, or WhatsApp, telephone, Skype, Zoom, um, telephone, email. So we are working, okay? Um, this is our contact information if you want our help in any of these steps, okay? Now, I want to thank you for your time of listening to me for all this time. God bless you. We are trusting God. He is the source of our strength. We feel that and trust that He is protecting us and is keeping us safe. Uh, I suggest that you read Psalm 91 of the Bible. A lot of good promises there for God's people. Okay. Once again, this is our contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And once again, God bless you and stay safe. Bye bye.